So I put my youngest down for a nap, and then I realized that my other children were out on a walk with their grandmother, Go-Go, if you listen to the podcast, or on my Patreon, and you know the wisdom that is Go-Go. And I thought, I probably have 10 minutes. Could I record really fast? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the first part of our first term with the CMEC, what we like, what we haven't liked, what's happening, how it's going. For any of you wondering what it's like to be a CMEC family, this one's for you. Hello and welcome back to The Commonplace. My name is Autumn, and if you have been watching the videos, then you know that this is our first year of formal schooling and that I have solemnly promised to tell you how it's going. I usually like to talk about things that I've been thinking about for years, but instead what I'm going to talk about today is what's happening right now in our home. We are in the middle of our first term. We are a new CMEC family. We've not done any other curriculum. They are the one that I picked from the beginning, but I know that it's kind of hard to find information about the CMEC, and any little bit is really helpful when you're trying to decide on a curriculum or what it might look like or how a family likes it. And so I'm going to talk a bit today about how our first chunk of weeks have been going, what we like, what we don't like, all those sorts of things. And I'm going to say at the start right now, to save my time later in emails, comments, and messages, that there is a privacy agreement that we sign with the CMEC because they work very hard on an incredible curriculum. And because of that, they ask that we don't overshare things. So this is why I do not do like, here are all the books for the CMEC, or here's my big curriculum reveal, look at everything I'm doing. That's why I don't like list very specific things on my templates. It's because of that. So I know that can be difficult when you really want to know something, but that is why. I know that you will respect it as I respect it. And also I will put the CMEC email and info guide packet request link down below so that you can ask them questions and ask for that guide, because they're very helpful and they will tell you the things that you want to know. So ask them, but let's just get that out of the way at the start, okay? Whew, I feel like I'm having to talk really fast because I think that my kids are gonna walk through the door at any minute. Okay, so let's start with, what do I not like about the CMEC? Because then we can get on to all the good stuff. And this is something that has become quite a pinch point for me. I think about it almost daily, and it's just, I don't know what to do about it. So what I have noticed is that every single night when one of my children wakes me up, which happens almost every single night, when I am trying to fall back asleep, all of a sudden my CMEC brain clicks on, and all I can do is sing like the Spanish songs, the folk songs, the singing game songs, the solfa songs, all of the songs that we sing in our home education start playing in my head, and they won't stop, which at 4 a.m. is not actually my favorite thing that happens, but that's really the only thing I have to say that we have not enjoyed. I have been incredibly impressed and pleased with the CMEC from the very beginning, through all my summer prep, all of the resources that they have just in the archives behind the members wall, everything that they teach about, everything that they equip moms with. I've loved every bit of it. I've been a part of everything I can so far, and I've just adored it. And now that we have formally started, and it's not just in theory, it's not just, well, I know this matches the philosophy that I have, I know this should be a feast for my child, but now that we are actually doing it, I am just so pleased to say that it is as good as I hoped and thought it would be. And so some of our favorite things, let's start with that. What are some of our favorite things? So the CMEC is incredibly true to Mason's pedagogy. They spend a lot of time, like I said, researching how to form their program. And so with the timetable, the way, I did make my own timetable based on a lot of the instruction they gave us and a lot of the templates to help us, but I did make my own. And every little bit of lesson is between 10 and 20 minutes for my daughter. My daughter is Form 1B, which is the very first year, so first grade. And she has thrived. She's loved it. You see what Mason talks about, that innate desire for knowledge, that curiosity that often when we teach children the wrong way, it gets squashed, it goes away. Kids don't have that anymore, and everyone knows what that looks like when you have a kid who's bored with God's world, or you have an adult who's bored with God's world, right? But innately, we all have that desire for knowledge. It's something about the image bearer. And so when you do teach in a way that honors a person as a person, that should continue to grow and continue to be exercised in God's world, and then delighted by what the mind finds, right? Living ideas. So anyways, the way that the timetable is structured maintains my daughter's habit of attention at the age that she is at and what she's able to do. And also every single thing I put before her is the highest of quality. And she has loved it. She actually really doesn't like weekends anymore. The first Saturday that we hit during the school year, she started asking if we were doing lessons. I was like, oh no, baby, it's Saturday. So then she just started putting her brothers into lessons. It was, here, grab your book of words, boys. We're going to do school. So she's really enjoyed it. She looks forward to it. I've noticed there are certain activities we do, like Paper Sloyd or our read aloud book, or some other things like that, that once we hit that day in the week, I know I will not see my children for most of the afternoon, because they will be acting out these ideas in play, practicing these handicrafts, doing these new things, and they're just delighted. They're being equipped to move in God's world in a delightful, life-giving way. So already I can say, just from my daughter's point of view, from my own, we have enjoyed everything we've put on the table. And that's been a real treat, because 2.5 hours of formal lessons for a tiny child who we did not do school before. We had a gentle rhythm. My benediction table guide talks about that. That's free in Patreon, or it is in my marketplace shop. And we had been doing like feasting on poetry and picture books and tea time together, very gently, very loosely. So this was a big jump, and I was, curious to see how it would go. And because everything on the table is so good, she is coming to it joyfully and eagerly every morning. So there's that. So a couple fun things we did to kick off the school year. I did buy my daughter a very cute jumper. It's a little misleading when we go into somewhere like Whole Foods, because she has on her Peter Pan collar, her little like Oxford tie, her jumper, her high knee socks, and she looks like she is a very prim and proper like prep school child, but we are feral homeschoolers who don't wear shoes and run around outside half dressed. So it's a little misleading, but I am someone who believes that you should dress for the work before you. And so I got her this thinking she'd wear it maybe for the first week or something, but she actually often comes down wearing it. And that's been really cute. I will link it below. They were just on Amazon. It was nothing too fancy. As you guys know, well, if you follow me in other places, whether Instagram or the podcast, I have been working on a school like crest for us, and we have our motto, which we came up with, which was a lot of fun for the beginning weeks. It's, let's see, if you can speak Latin, first email me, because I need a buddy to help me, but secondly, don't judge this. It's venite ascendite et progredimini in, which means further up and further in, because long live Narnia. Another thing we did, I thought we would need this because we are little hobbits around here and 11 C's is a big deal, is we scheduled a 10-minute tea break in the middle of our timetable. It's been great. It's been a natural place for us to stop for her to go use the bathroom after the first hour. We make cups of tea. I usually have baked something at the beginning of the week that hopefully makes it to the end of the week. Something like banana bread or cookies or oatmeal bars or something like that, so that we have a nice little treat that we can enjoy, and then we get back to it. And that's been really nice. It's a good way to connect with the boys as well. One tip that I've realized is that thanks to narration and her time, keeping her notebooks, usually every 7 to 12 minutes, I'm available to help the little guys with something. So they are practicing to the degree they are able to wait and practice patience for me until I can come and help them. But I have learned that when she transitions to her notebook time, that is a good time for me to go and help the little boys, which has been a very helpful thing. Another thing is that the baskets are working super well. If you saw my video, we have the table basket, which includes things like pens, colored pencils, scissors, a ruler, little things like that that she can grab as she needs. And that's been great. She can clean it up. She's in charge of sharpening all of her pencils, preparing for the school day, things like that. And it's been really easy to clean up, as well as my individual baskets, because again, I live in a small house with no closets. That's not a closet. In case you were thinking there's a closet right behind you, it's not. It's not a closet. It's stairs to a basement, which is where I store all of our school stuff. And so the baskets have actually been working very well. Just thought I'd loop back and let you know about that. And really the biggest lesson that I've learned in the first part of our homeschooling is that I do set that atmosphere and tone, which we know because atmosphere is one of our 3 instruments of education. And the first formal week of school, I had what was most likely strep throat, an ear infection, and then halfway through the week, I got pink eye in both eyes. It was insane. It was our first week of school. My husband was joking that I was running on adrenaline only because I had been so pumped for this week for the last, almost 6 years of my daughter's life, and that I was just trucking through. But really, I kept noticing like nothing in my life was how I wanted it. I couldn't control the cleanliness of the house. I wasn't making our best meals because I just felt so sick all day. It wasn't in my control. And yet we had an amazing week of school. Amazing. Because I commanded my own behavior to be cheerful and to be helpful and to just move at the pace I could move. And that is what sets the tone in a house. And so for those particularly who are very capable, maybe a little more type A, a little bit higher capacity, it's very easy for us usually to order our lives the way we want them to, and then to think if everything's how I want it, I will have a good time. It will be a successful week. But God was very kind in that first week to kick me off in our formal schooling with actually, no. When you come to the table to feast on my living ideas and come the right way with the right attitude, that is the gift, and that makes a good school week. not if you have everything going circumstantially the way you want it. And that was a very good way for me to start my school year. So another thing would be the form leaders in the CMEC. Now, form is grade. Don't forget, I have a whole video about how to speak Charlotte Mason. That's one of those words. So I haven't actually needed to email her yet, but I have been working back through the old form meetings and finding just an amazing amount of resources about how you might teach something, how you might order the lesson. So if there is a point where I feel like, I'm not exactly sure how to practically do that, I'm able to go back into those form meetings and kind of snoop around a bit until I find what I'm looking for. And that's been really wonderful. I've also now been through the first meeting of the Mother's Education course by this point. The MEC is something that the CMEC, a lot of letters there, that the CMEC offers to encourage and equip mothers. So if you haven't seen my why we chose the CMEC video, the continuing mother's education was a huge point for me to choose the CMEC. Because while I love studying this stuff and have enjoyed podcasting about it now for almost 2 years and different things like that, there's still an element at which I can speak to the early years, but I can't speak much beyond that because I'm not there yet. I haven't done it yet. And I don't want to speak beyond what I actually know and have studied. And so as I continue to look forward for my daughter and then my son's education, and I continue to grow as a person myself, it's of the highest importance to me to continue to be a good student. And so the CMEC has the Mother's Education course, and you have readings, you have a meeting of discussion, different things like that to work through, and I've really enjoyed that and find it to be incredibly helpful. And it continues to highlight something that I think is important about the CMEC and something that I am just always growing in my appreciation for, is that they do expect mothers to do the work to grow. They are not an open and go curriculum. They are not going to lay it all out for you. You cannot just download the program guide, which is our wonderful resource that walks through what we're doing in each term, but you're not going to open it and find like day 1, day 2, day 3, or anything that you need to do like that. But they will, which is so close to my commonplace heart, equip you with the principles and the philosophy so that you actually know how to think on your own on how to serve your family with these life-giving ideas. So it's not you must fit into this particular exact system in order to follow our curriculum, which would not be Mason anyways. Instead, it's here are the tools you need in order to be a good mother teacher. And now go and do that in your home with your very specific kids and your very specific home culture and things like that. And so the MEC has been as wonderful as I hoped as well. And I still think it's worth signing up for the CMEC, even just to take the Mother's Education course. It's been phenomenal. As well as we just had our fall retreat. So I just went to the fall retreat. That was another thing offered within that $300. And I mean, when you find people who want to talk about logbooks, both the philosophy and the practical side of how to implement them, how to use them well in your homeschool, when you find people who want to do that for 4 hours, you know those are your people. And then lastly, of course, adding in formal lessons, there have been some new things to work on. So I have 2 very mischievous and high energy little boys that are, yes, 100% running around my house, sometimes destroying it, even though I will say I did train them on what they could do during lessons and they've stuck to that. So that summer training, it did help. However, I did not anticipate how quickly they could get through everything that I gave them. So that's been a thing. But learning how to still like meal plan and get things done on time and move between lessons into our lunchtime into afternoon occupations, but when do we do our chores now? And all of those sorts of questions have definitely been a thing. I will not say it has not been a time of adjustment, a time of my husband being kind and, let us eat Chipotle for dinner quite a few times. Different things like that as I figure out this new level. Basically, there's a new responsibility in my life. And when that happens, God is teaching me how to level up and think deeply on how to better serve him and the people in my home by changing up how we do things. And so I'm still in the middle of doing that, still learning how to figure that out. And it's been good, but it's also been challenging. And so I'm actually going to be talking about some of the tips and tricks I've learned, how to use brain dumps, how to order the month so you can order your week, so you can order your day, which is how I plan my life. Oh, what are some new things I'm doing so that future autumn, current autumn, I'm going to be making a whole video about that just for Patreon. That's going to be the extra resource that kind of goes with this week, goes with this video. So if you'd like to join them over at patreon.com/thecommonplace, it's $7 a month. We have a lot of resources in there, but that's going to be the next one to go in, a fun little video for them. So I, again, love the CMEC. If you don't know that, you're not really listening to me, but I would highly recommend that you check it out. It has been the greatest gift to our family. I am grateful to have found it so early on. Okay, so thanks so much for following along. I will continue to update you as the year goes on, as we continue to work with the CMEC. I will put all the links below so you can find out about them, and I'll see you guys next week.